It's October 16th, and welcome to the Driving Forward podcast. Whether you're joining us live or listening on one of our 18 platforms, including Reese Across America Radio, where we broadcast live every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, we appreciate your support. Next week, we're talking freight fraud with Steve Vest, Dale Prax. Ooh, we did get Danielle Spinelli up there, and potentially a few mystery guests, which I didn't let our crew know. There might be a few people floating in. There's a lot to unpack. It's been a while since we've talked about freight fraud. It's a big subject. We've been digging into the deep seas of data and have some interesting finds. This will be an interesting and exciting episode, so tune in. The following week, we have Gina from Luma Brighter Learning, Gina Anderson. I've known Gina for a number of years, and we've never been able to align on an episode. I'm super excited to talk about Gina. She's a wonderful, insightful person and knows a ton about learning and how to bring that forward in our industry. So actually an interesting thing about Luma Brighter Learning, if you go into a lot of carriers, you see Luma everywhere. They're just everywhere, and they've had a huge impact on the industry. So I'm very excited to talk to Gina. That'll actually be on Halloween too. So I'm hoping that she matches me, but tune in to see what I dress up like. Last year was, I'm not sure what I dressed up like, but it was something. I dressed up like something. So coming up through the end of the year, here's a list of events that we're going to be attending through GLCS. Next week, Thursday, we're at the ATA Management Conference and Exhibition, ATA MCE. We get there Thursday night. I guess we won't actually be there Thursday night, Friday through Tuesday. There'll be a crew of us there. I think myself, Missy Hetland, and Susan Mayo love to chat with you if you're there. I'm already lining up a few meetings. Friday seems packed. Monday seems packed. Very excited for this one. It's one of my favorite conferences of the year. Tuesday, follow that. Jump on a plane, fly to Orlando, all the way from the west to the east, and join our friends at Broker Carrier Summit in Orlando for a couple of days and get to chat about all things broker and carrier related. Very excited about that as well. November 16th through the 18th, both Susan and I will be at Trimble Insight in New Orleans. That kind of caps out the year for conferences, although there might be a few last minute things sprinkled in. We shall see. And then definitely looking forward to Reese Across America, December 13th. If you have never participated in a Reese Across America event, a Reese Across America event at all, you should look into that. If you have any questions on it, please feel free to reach out. We'll have a Reese Across America episode coming up sometime in November as well. Also want to talk about Manifest. I know I don't have that one on the schedule, but let's put up the Manifest banner as well. So February 9th through 11th, we have 3 people going so far, but we're going to have a lot more than that. So this is our crew from last year so far, but I think we're going to be doubling down. So Manifest, one of my favorite events. I think you always have to categorize conferences and events throughout the year, but Manifest is definitely at the top of them. It's at another level. 5, 6, 7,000 people, depending upon how you look at it, at the Venetian. Stay tuned. We're going to be announcing something extremely special sometime soon in relation to Manifest, but can't really talk about it right now. So coming up for Freight Movement, next Monday, we have the V53. Sorry, had to think there for a second. V53 Trucker Bar in Chattanooga. So this is adjacent to F3. So come hang out with us. We have live music. We got a band. So come hang out with us. We'd love to see you there. It's at the Boneyard, same place it was last year, same crew it was last year. Unfortunately, I can't make it. I have a special thing with my daughter the next day, and I'm not going to risk the flight. So, especially given the circumstances that TSA and whatnot. So, but come check it out at the Boneyard. We'll put the links all out there for all of these events. Another event coming up in November, our crew here in Minnesota is putting together another event, the Great Freight Gathering. This one will be in St. Louis Park, November 13th. If we can flip to that. Yep, there we go. All right. Great Freight Gathering. I guess I didn't catch the name of the location, but we'll put a link out for that one. If you're in Minnesota and want to join us, the last one, these are a little smaller events, but we're looking to grow them. So they're going to be every month going forward. We had one in October. We had maybe 17, 18 people come on out, and it was a good couple of hours. It was great networking, great to meet everybody. The one in November, it'll be a little further south, so it won't be an hour drive for me. So that'll be great. But looking forward to it. And I think that kind of wraps up the year for freight movement. So today's guest is a disruptor in the best way possible. We're giving it another go, actually, because the last time technology was a bit of a disruptor, and I just couldn't let it pass. So we had to bring her back. We had to bring her back, and it's such an important topic. So not only just the GovCon side, but the opportunity to grow your business. And Melanie Patterson didn't come from the world of logistics. She came from an emergency room, the trauma bays, the kind of high-stakes environment that either break you or build you into something bulletproof. And she chose to build. She's the founder of multiple companies, a master of government contracts, and a mentor to dozens of entrepreneurs coming up behind her. But more than that, she's proof that you can build a business with heart, with grit, and without compromising your values. In an industry full of noise, shortcuts, and copycats, Melanie leads with clarity, courage, and character. This episode isn't just a conversation, it's a call out to anyone who's tired of playing small. So whatever you're listening, wherever you're listening, listen in, hear intently, because what we're about to unpack could change the way you could see your work, your leadership, and your potential. So, Melanie, welcome back without technical difficulties.
Without technical difficulties. As you know, technology is a gift and a curse.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes it plays in our favor. Most of the time it plays in our favor, but sometimes it does not. So, as always, Pedro, thanks for listening in. Rob, appreciate you listening. So I caught your episode this morning. So, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Today, you're clear, you're crisp. You're coming in perfectly. So
Awesome. I'm coming in hot. So let's get started. Let's get started. So this is take two.
Take two.
I really want to just say thank you for bringing me back on to talk to people about something that we don't talk about often. And I think I want to talk about it more. And that's government contracting.
Absolutely. And the way that I piece this, I've had, and first off, I enjoy that you found this niche, and I also like it because so specifically on the transportation side, which is the audience, I know that you do more than just transportation. But I like it because it's a stepping stone for many small companies to potentially move up, right? To find those direct customers, and you create programs that allow them to do that, and you help them do that. And there's a lot of noise in the industry about, I can't find customers, I don't know how to find customers, and many of these organizations, many of these people just need to find that first anchor customer, that first customer that they can build their book of business around. And sometimes that just needs to be the world's largest customer, which is who you help them learn how to do business with.
Yeah, yeah, the government is the world's largest customer. I would say before that, we need to really kind of shift our mindset and understand that the low board is great, but that's where we start, right? That's where we start, and we leverage for backhauls. The meat and potatoes, so to speak, of a small business is contracts. I don't care if that's on the public sector or the private sector. The public sector, being the government, which is the world's largest customer, is a great one to have. And so realistically, look at the numbers, look at the data, right? The first year of being in business within transportation, you have an 80% failure rate. 80% failure rate. And that's attributed to several different factors. But one of those factors are customers, right? Consistent, dedicated revenue coming through that small carrier's business. And one of the strategies that I discovered early on, right? I stand before you as a mentor, all of those beautiful titles. Thank you so much. Beautiful introduction. But most importantly, a businesswoman and a team player. And getting started in transportation, I quickly realized this is super competitive, and it is really based on relationships. And so how can I leverage this thing? And I started to do the research, and I discovered government contracting, which has been pivotal to laying down the foundation of the business, being able to sustain in a very, very touchy market that we're in right now, and also scaling during fragile times like this. It's really been a game changer.
Absolutely. I mean, the government's always buying something. So
They're always buying something, and most importantly, transportation, logistics, right? And so that speaks to a lot of the concerns that people are having. The government is in a such shutdown right now. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Well, I want to remind you that we are not employees of the government. We are vendors and suppliers. And for our audience here today, we are talking about transportation, logistics, packaging, crating, warehousing, global supply chain. Most of us are only talking about ground transportation. They're also procuring freight forwarding opportunities, sea, air, rail, right? What other better customer than the government? And so I think that this is a real good opportunity for people to understand what is diversification and diversification of a customer and your revenue. Is the government an easy customer? Maybe not, right? But I don't want easy. I don't want easy, especially if it's going to help me to build a legacy, build an empire, and sustain in very touchy markets like we're in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's an easy customer to get, then everyone goes after that customer. So if it's a complex customer to get, it's also a complex customer to change. And so once you're in, you're kind of in, at least for a duration, right? So let's take a couple steps back, and let's say I'm a new business owner. I've decided to start my business, and maybe I did go the spot market route, and I am out running around, kind of wandering throughout the industry, trying to find my path. And I see Melanie on Facebook, and I go, this might be my thing. Or I just, they hear you say your thing, they hear me go on a TED talk about getting direct customers. What's a good first step for someone with a very small business to take when they're exploring government contracting?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm coming fully transparent and with integrity. So the first thing I would say is really figure out if this is a customer that you're willing to date. This is not a quick, easy McDonald's date either, right? So it does require an investment from not only a financial standpoint, from a time standpoint. This
I got to
company,
stop you there.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
McDonald's date a thing?
Not anymore.
Okay,
Not
fair enough.
anymore.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, not anymore for sure.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'll go to McDonald's though. I'm that type of girl. And there's nothing wrong with McDonald's. There's nothing wrong with McDonald's. So I would say that we need to be realistic in understanding that this is a long-term customer, right? We're about to onboard a long-term customer that's really going to change the game for me. So that requires a little bit of massaging and nurturing. And then the next thing I would want people to do, especially in this audience, is shift your mindset. Right? So this is not like a shipper or a manufacturer. This looks completely different. We're not bumping a dock. We're not bidding on a load off of a load board per se. This looks completely different, right? We're taking on large projects, 3, 4 years, 5 years, up to 10-year contract terms. We're in the service space, right? The government buys products and services. Well, transportation, logistics, that's services. So that's long-term projects. We also then need to understand, what do we want to sell to them? What are we selling, right? Everyone's like, oh, I want the government as a customer. What are you selling, right? What can you speak to from a place of competence, but also what is something that you can do and excel and then grow from there? Because it's so much money, millions of dollars, millions of contracts on the table. They're coming down the pipeline now. Right before I jumped on the call, there were like 6 contracts awarded in transportation that I was bidding on, right? And so just really understanding, what am I going to niche down on? What am I going to offer the government? And how do I get a better understanding of what type of customer this is? Because it's a different type of cold call than a shipper or a manufacturer. I think that would be the very first thing. And then the next thing is understanding that it is the government, right? So they want you compliant. They want a strong back office. They want you to be financially secured. And so understanding what it looks like to stand next to the government as a supplier and a vendor and a partner, adding value to these various different missions and projects.
So what are the misconceptions then that once you're new to government contracting, then what are the misconceptions about government? So anyone that hears this is probably thinking, oh, I'm going to go get a government contract and that's a gold mine. I'm now in the money. So what are some misconceptions and some things that small carriers maybe need to avoid or be aware of as they move forward?
Yeah. So I would say, let's address the financial component. So yes, they will reward you and they will compensate you very nicely, but that is on the back end, right? And so the government is typically net 15, net 30, net 45 at times. And so we have to have the upfront access to capital to float payroll, cost of fuel and equipment and insurance and things of that nature. And we get the proceeds of our profits on the back end side. So we need to walk into this kind of knowing that and leveraging that. That shouldn't scare you though, right? Because imagine this, taking a purchase order into your banking institution that is funded by federal funds. You're going to get approved, right? It's going to be a little bit easier of a walk. The next thing is we have partners and subcontractors and strategic partners that will net 30 us on those particular services during that partnership. So there's ways to navigate through it, but I think that we do need to be honest with ourselves and say, yeah, there's a great opportunity to make a lot of money with this customer, but we also need to have the financial framework to support this relationship because we get paid on the back end side of things. And then I think the next misconception is all the noise that you said earlier, all the noise that we are hearing on the news with, everything that's happening, our current administration. I will say this, yes, they are closing government departments. Yes, they are shutting down government agencies. Yes, the government employees are on a freeze. Does it delay our certification processing? Yeah. Does it delay our response time when communicating with chat or support help? Yeah. Right. But will that delay the transporting of goods to the veterans, to these various different nursing facilities that are housing ward of the states or mentally disabled, persons? No, not at all. Right. If they have to store it, if they have to move it, it's getting purchased and procured. And so that's another great thing that I love about being within transportation and aligning the government as a customer. We are the heartbeat, they are the heartbeat. It's a marriage that just works versus if I was maybe just offering consulting services. We can kind of do without for this quarter or another quarter, right? And decrease the budget there. But if you're looking at transportation and logistics, not so much. We're starting to actually see an increase in contract opportunities for two items: moving and warehousing. The government often tells you what's going to happen and what's coming. So that's very interesting to us to see that increase in warehousing opportunities. And then moving, naturally, we're going to see those moving opportunities move or increase rather because of this shutdown of various different departments and having to move different leaderships, and people in position where that's included in their compensation package. And so we don't suffer from, the shutdown and things of that nature. Just looking at data, you can see the government spends and increases their spend year in and year out. That's not me. Go to usaspending.gov. The data is there to support it, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they love to spend money. We know that. So, which I'm a little bit behind on this. George Fisher says, terrific conversation. So appreciate you watching, George. All right. So I get a government contract. What do I need to do to make sure I knock it out of the park? How do I make sure that I can continue to get more contracts? What's the best path for me to follow along that line?
So simply put, understand the scope of work and just do the shit that you said you're going to do. Done. That's it. The government tells you what they want, when they want it, how they want it. If you're going to tell them you're going to provide them what they want, how they want it, when they want it, deliver on that. And that's where you start to open up the doors and the opportunities, right? The contracting officers are like, call me if you need me, but don't even call me because I have a ton of other items on my desk. And so really understanding the customer, understanding the mission, understanding the responsibility, and really just executing as a high level. And us small business owners, we have the capacity. We really do. Oftentimes we think about, oh my goodness, I only have these 2 to 5 trucks. How can I? They are opportunities available for small business owners, especially on the local level, which is state, city, municipality, county, right? To where they can start to build up their past performance and understand this customer. All right, I need to have somebody tight in my accounting department for, seamless accounting. I need to have compliance in place, right? This customer, they want us to have workman's compensation. How many of us really have workman's compensation, right? Well, they pay for you to keep that throughout the year. And so just understanding those things will really help you to do well within government contracting. Great question.
No, that's great. So can you tell me, I'm going to roll that back just a little bit further now. How did you actually end up, as the final question before we go to break, how did you end up in government contracting? So I don't know if you've been on a couple of times now. I don't know if I've ever asked you that specific question. I
don't
think
know.
we've always skipped
Dive into it. Yeah, I don't know. So clearly you can see I left the bedside, and from the introduction, I
Yeah.
left from nursing.
Right.
And
Right.
so got into transportation. Investing into transportation was something that I quickly realized was super saturated. Look to your left and look to your right. How many trucking companies are out there? How many brokerage companies are out there? How many dispatch companies are out there? And so I said, all right, guys, how are we going to set ourselves apart in a sea of sharks? And I started to do the research. I came across grants, and I'm like, no, grants is not it. Came across government contracting. So I said, let's restructure this thing and let's make me 51% and let's leverage what I am, right? I'm proud minority, proud born woman. And so then I said, all right, well, how do they then leverage this small group of people in a very, very big pool? And then that's when I started to understand about set asides and leveraging my set asides and certifications. Then I started to understand, well, how do they transport of goods, just even on the state level, right? Let's not even jump into the millions and the federal money just yet. Let me get a better understanding. And so I discovered that every state, and this is a gem, guys, on this call, pen and paper, every state has an emergency management agency. That emergency management agency every year to 3 years will procure transportation, logistic coordination, packaging, crating, and warehousing storage services in large amounts to secure them for miscellaneous disasters that may happen throughout that period, and or storing of their various different, medical equipment and things of that nature for the VA and those type of things. And so we landed a very large contract. And at that time, we didn't have all of these assets. And I was able to perform and supersede their expectations by leveraging my assets along with our partners. And I said, what is this? I'm onto something. And I just dived in and I just got addicted to it. And then, once you start building that relationship, hey, Melanie, I know you don't do containers, right? But we need containers. Can you do it? Absolutely, not a problem. Well, that was during COVID, right? And so we did some of our best numbers during a very, very traumatic time. But that's what it looks like.
No, that's great. I never asked that segue question, so I don't know if we've ever had that discussion. So that's great, and I think that a good takeaway from that is, every state has that. It's not just the federal government; it's every state. So that's a pretty wide berth, and you said every 3 years. So
yeah, typically every 3 to 5 years. And if you take a look and you look at who is the awarded vendor of these transportation contracts right in your backyard, they don't live in your state. And so I want us to stop allowing these companies to come and get money that's right in our backyard. We're complaining and we're like, where are the customers? We can't find them. Well, they're right in your backyard, but you're letting someone else come and get the money that's right in your backyard. And so,
yeah, get to know your local folks and bid on that. And it's that's typically what I always tell any operator is your freight's just right around you. So you just need to know who they are. You need to get out and meet people. You need to understand the small shippers, the large shippers. In this case, just get networked appropriately and you're going to get what you need out of that.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, we're going to take a very quick break, 1.5 minutes. We'll come back. We'll start talking about, longer term planning and whatever else may come up out of this. But we'll be back here shortly.
If your fleet's downtime looks like chaos, you're missing out on GLCS. In the time-critical world of trucking and logistics, every minute counts. Meet GLCS, your expert partner in managed IT and technology services. We integrate seamlessly with your team, bringing seasoned IT professionals with deep trucking and logistics expertise. Imagine your software updates running smoothly, complex issues resolved quickly, and operations humming with efficiency. GLCS has your back. Our support doesn't just fix problems, it prevents them with our industry connections and proactive approach. We keep your trucks rolling and your brokers working. Think of us as the added resource your company needs to unleash its full potential. Visit glcs.net today and keep your business driving forward. GLCS, where efficiency meets expertise.
And we are back. So if anyone has any questions for Melanie, queue them up, send them in. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. So lots of people can be intimidated by longer term contracts. They can be intimidated by the pricing that they put out there. They can be intimidated by just the commitment. So, you put out something for 3 years, that can be a long time commitment. How do you recommend that someone handles that? Or what's your response to someone that maybe addresses that with you?
Yeah, so I would say that typically most of the contracts are a fixed firm price overall, because the government wants to feel like they have got a stale and lock you in for that price. I also will say, and not to get into the legal side of things, but there are clauses in place to where if there are some form of, disaster where, fuel price has skyrocketed, they will allow you to reassess and reevaluate the pricing to man that project. Something that I recently did on a very large project is they placed in there that it was, 100 deliveries per day. But when we got actually inside of the contract and looked at the volume, it was well outside of that. So we have to go back to the drawing table and say, hey, look, according to the data, right, over the last 30 days, we're really outside of what the expectations were that you stated in the contract. And so they will then do an amendment to that contract term. And I think we increased by 1.2 million. And so there's options and there's ways to work around that. But the takeaway is we need to understand our operational cost. We need to understand our numbers. We need to understand what it would look like to also grow in that contract, right? So hypothetically speaking, guys, it's not $2 per mile, please. But just hypothetically speaking, let's say we submit $2 per mile here in 2025, but in 2029, it should not look like that. And so we need to have the education and the understanding of how to price our contract for growth over the course of that year, 2 to 3 to 5 year contract term. And that's where mentoring really comes in and helps you with that.
So let's talk a little bit more about mentoring then, and talk about Team Integrity Knowledge Center, and your GovCon iSource business. We've been talking about your knowledge of just government contracts, but let's talk about the other businesses that actually enable other companies to learn and execute and explore these government contracts, and you do mentor them to achieve these goals. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So with all of this, a girlfriend of mine said, you have to tell the people about what you're doing and how you're doing. Well, that's where the inception of Team Integrity Knowledge Center came from. And really, it is a premium consulting firm where we come in and we nurture small to medium-sized carriers and businesses on onboarding the government as a customer. So we do all of those busy work things that we talked about on this call: registering in SAM.gov, DSBS, capability statement production, market research to understand who's our customer, who do we need to start marketing and nurturing, far as our contracting officers and program liaison. But most importantly, a pipeline where we do custom contract sourcing, where you have a full procurement team that's navigating all of the terrain of DOD and DOJ we were just on a call with, right? We take that on and we put it in an app at your fingertips. So you can be at your desk or on the beach, right? And really still moving that business growth along. You go that opportunity, our team gets into action and we start to build out that proposal to submit a bid. Because what? You have to bid to win. And so my goal is to really get people comfortable with this daunting term of government contracting. It's not that easy. I mean, it's not that hard, guys. And it's not that easy as well. You just need a blueprint, and it's the government. They're old, they're outdated. Yes, I said it. And it's really a rinse and repeat after there. But once you lay down the foundation and you understand, you got to target and be laser focused. And so that's where GovCon iSource came in. This, Nate, has been one of my greatest achievements. Because we are truly changing how small carriers and small business owners do business. Again, nothing wrong with the load board. Amazing. I started out on the load board, right? I think at one point we had like 7 trucks straight off the load board, but I quickly figured out we're going to drown, right? And so we have to go get contracts. And so this really allows you to onboard stability and that dedicated revenue with a very cost-effective and streamlined process. This doesn't have to be that difficult, especially if you have someone like me over the last 5 years who've learned, who've messed up. I have, right? And we just really kind of lay that at their feet.
I mean, it's a much, so I'm going to put this one out there on the load board. If you're operating on the load board, you're just throwing away cash. So I'm very adverse to backhaul. You said it early on.
Yeah,
it's perfectly fine for backhaul. I'm 100% behind load board for backhaul. I friends of mine work for load boards. I support load boards, but it's a backhaul solution. And for carriers, it's most certainly, and that's where it belongs. It's hard to build your business if your head haul, if your head haul is having a large piece of the margin taken right off the top.
Yeah.
And so absolutely exploring this, and this being a huge avenue for a business to be able to explore its first customer or one of its first customers, I think is a great opportunity. So, and you assisting organizations or people to do that, I think is absolutely wonderful. So,
and Nate, and let me say this too. Another thing is we need to think about diversification, right? And so we have this one customer called the government that has multiple of customers underneath it. Why not? So let's think about this. We just got through talking about, DOD opportunities, but we never even touched on FEMA TSP that's coming up, guys. This is a 1-year enrollment opportunity. Nate, have you heard of FEMA TSP?
I have no idea what that is.
Awesome. Perfect. Let's jump into it really quickly.
Right.
FEMA TSP, Transportation Service Provider. This is also another additional source of revenue that you can insert inside of your business under this one umbrella called the government, right? And so when we have Hurricane Katrina hit, we have disaster relief efforts that's set up. This is a great opportunity to move freight at let's just say this, we're doing great work, right, during a very, very hard time, and we're being compensated for that. FEMA TSP is a great opportunity for asset-based carrier as well as non-asset-based carrier. So oftentimes we have Landstar in the room. I'm bidding with TQL, right? Because these people understand the importance of diversification, and they're taking these opportunities and unfortunately putting them right on the low board for pennies on the dollar. And so FEMA TSP is actually opening up And so that is something that I would like to tell your audience. Tap into our FEMA TSP Masterclass and learn how to register your business and start standing next to the TQLs and the Crowleys and the Landstars, because guess what? We have the ability to bid on the same contract opportunities.
So that's a great question. So first off, FEMA TSP opening up. So that's something that they can reach out to you about, and you can help guide them through your program on that. I assume, correct?
That is correct. I provide you with the tools to do it yourself, or we can help you and do it for you.
Okay, great. So the question that this one just sparked is small carriers or brokers might feel extremely intimidated competing against large firms than for government jobs. In your experience, how do they stand out in the bidding process then, despite being against that massive organization?
Yeah. So one thing that I pride myself is you will rarely see my freight on the load board, right? So yes, I have an authority to broker freight, but that's not my goal. I don't operate as a typical freight brokerage company. And so when you lead with that, they understand that your carriers are a little bit more well vetted. Right. You have small carriers who are really taking pride in those various different opportunities that they're taking on, being that it's government freight. I would say that you have to really, what it boils down to is understanding your numbers, right? Understanding your numbers and understanding how lean can you operate to really understand what's my competitive standpoint from a pricing standpoint. And that's the challenge between an asset-based small carrier and a 3PL brokerage company like TQL.
I think you brought up something earlier that I'm gonna drill into or double click on a little bit. So you talked about outsourcing. So if you're able to secure some business yourself and being able to outsource that, and you were talking about how the government may pay you on a net 15, net 30, net 45 scenario, and that you might be able to outsource some of that on a net 15, net 30, net 45 scenario, or probably net 30. So what that means, I mean, you're just talking about playing a cash flow scenario where you're really only having to cover a few days of cash. So you might have to pay your carrier for a week. You might have to cover a week of cash as opposed to a whole or 2 weeks, depending upon your contract. So your total cash flow of this may not be to a level of the entire contract. If you etch this out accordingly and you have the right partners involved, your costs associated with it and the cash flow that come with it might be less than what you may think. It may not be that heavy lift that you have. So where I'm going with this is that your strength is, as a small operator, your strength may be in your network.
Yeah. Yeah, very well said. 100% agree. Your net worth is contingent on your net work, right?
I knew you had a saying for that. I knew you had a saying for it.
It was coming. It was coming.
Yeah. I knew you had something for it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. So are there certifications that come along with government contracting that you recommend?
So I know everyone's going to go crazy, but I'm going to say it. You don't need certifications to do government contracting, guys. Okay. You can get started with no certifications, especially right now with DE&I and our current administration. They're not putting a major focus on that. And so you are still able to get started, get registered, start bidding without focusing on certifications and the costs to onboard those certifications. That can come later. The next thing is what I really would advise, and something that's on the horizon for us in transportation and logistics in particular, is we must get on the GSA schedule. And we also should consider looking at the 8A program. These are still two set-asides that are roaring and still doing very well within the federal space. And so a lot of times you'll see opportunities being set aside and attached with a goal for GSA schedule vendors. And so I would say that it may be worth your time to take a look at the GSA schedule and 8A certification if you qualify for 8A and if you are ready for 8A. Now, you're talking about certifications such as minority, woman-owned, disadvantaged, not major, not really something that I would push, except for veteran-owned. There are still an increase in veteran-owned procurement. And so if you are a disabled veteran, absolutely on board those certifications. We can help with that too as well. It's a little bit of a challenging process, but once we get a packet and we submit, we guarantee certification within 90 days, right? And so that's what I feel about certifications.
No, that's valuable. So that and kind of recap there, veteran owned right now is the most valuable, but others as needed don't hurt.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail
fair
on the
enough.
head. With the
That's what I think.
emphasis on really looking to onboard the GSA schedule.
Yep. Understood. So, all right, pricing on government contracts. So,
Ooh.
yeah. So, how do we know? I mean, obviously, you have all kinds of pricing tools all over the industry, especially for trucking. We have all these tools and all this market intelligence, but based on your experience, how do you know how to competitively price a contract? And are there cost considerations that you need to take into account? And how can a smaller organization take that into factor when they're bidding?
Yeah. So even though it's the government, well, again, they want to feel like they're getting a sale. They want to feel like this is a great opportunity for us to take advantage of. And so pricing is a factor, not on all contracts, but on most contracts, it is a factor. So how do I come in new and a small business owner within this playground? And so again, you'll hear me say it again, know your cost. Know what your operational cost is, because your cost is your cost. And you never want to bid on a contract walking into it in the red. That's not going to work for you, and your career is over in a very, very short time. So if you know what your cost is, you know what your red tape is, you know what your floor is, and you know what you cannot go below. The next thing is we want to onboard a larger subcontractor, which may have leaner numbers to help us to offset. The next thing is stop coming in greedy. Stop coming in greedy, guys. Don't come in looking for that 20% profit right away. You may have to squeeze and wiggle your way in at that 7 to 10%, maybe even 5, right? Starting out, a win is a win. So walking away with 5% margins, I'll take it, right? It's a volumes game. Go get another one for 5%. Go get another one. Now bump it up to 7%. So stop gouging. Stop being greedy. The next thing is leveraging something called FOIA, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. This is something that we have the right to as tax-paying citizens, to where we can ask the government, let me see that. Let me take a peek at what's going on. Let's pull back the curtains, and they will disclose who the awarded vendor is, the obligated amount, contract terms, and things of that nature. You then take that to the drawing table and say, all right, well, they just won that bid for 2.8. My operational cost is this. I'll be manning this part of the project. My subcontractor or strategic partner is going to handle this. My numbers are this. Now play with your margins to come under that 2.8. If you can't, walk away. You just can't, right? But if you can, throw a bid at that thing, right? Get yourself competitive.
No, great answer. Appreciate that. And FOIA. So that way you get to know what the last bid on that particular contract was won for. So
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect. So let's check time. How we doing? We got a couple questions left. So when you coach small businesses on government contracting, what's some common mistakes that you see time and time again? What's something that somebody just repeats?
Mistakes that they repeat, or just mistakes
that you see businesses, maybe not the same business, but you've worked with a number of different companies. But what's a common error that you see companies repeat?
Number one thing, giving up too soon. Up too soon. I think you shared with me, your history, and you dibbled and dabbled and visited with it. And so it is not, first time you're going to strike gold. It's not it. I'm just going to be honest. This is not it. Right. But if you stick with it, it'll change your life, your team's life, your children's life, all of those things. But you got to stick with it. And so the number one thing that I would say is people they're not patient enough for it to land the win and open up the door for them. But it works if you work it. So work it. I would say that would be the number one thing I see. Have you ever seen that image of the guy chiseling away at the mine, and he's almost there, but he's forget it. And he walks away, right? And he's right there at the gold.
Right.
That's a lot of government contractors and small business owners. It's you're right there at the door and you give up right before it opens up. And so I would say stay persistent, never give up, and get from behind the computer and go network. Go say hello, you guys. Go shake hands. Go meet them at the networking event. They're humans just like us. They just have a lot of power and they can write an unlimited warrant for a ton of money, but they're human beings. They're humans, right? And so we have to engage with them.
No, great answer. Do you have, so along that same line, do you have a favorite success story from someone you've mentored or advised?
Yeah, I do have a favorite success story. So I have a client who was persistent and was getting fatigued because sometimes it's a little bit of a challenging squeeze, but they stayed persistent and they landed the win. And why this is so meaningful for me is because we landed a win in a very difficult state. So Tennessee, Arkansas, kind of a little bit harder of a squeeze. And so not only did we land the win in a challenging area, but that then opened up the door to where they were like, where have you been? Where have you been? And now he is overwhelmed with purchase orders. And so they continue every day. He's getting micro purchase orders in his email, 75,000, 85,000. Can you take this here? Now, most recently, now they're asking, can you consult? We have some new initiatives that we want to bring about, and we want to understand how to bring about efficiency, how to shrink wrap the pallets, how to properly store them. And so now he's like, Melanie, I never even would have imagined that now I'm consulting with the government, because guess what? They don't know what the heck to do. They don't understand transportation. Most of them have never owned a business, let alone bumped a dock or, had to handle a troubleshoot out there. And so that has been one of my most rewarding, along with the fact that we also have had, purchases of homes and retiring of parents and things of that nature, which are always beautiful.
No, those last two answers are perfect. And I mean, I think it comes back to, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to start a business, you have to really understand what you're getting into, which is, it's going to be a change in life, and it's not an 8 to 5. It's going to be a grind. And if you want the benefits of it, you're going to have to put your time into it, and it'll pay dividends eventually. And there's 10 failures to one win, but that one win will outweigh the 10 failures when you get there. So eventually the wins start to to be more numerous than the failures, but it takes time to get there. You're going to hear no so many times that it's hard, and it takes a lot of grit and grind to drive through all of that. And it's hard. It's not made for everyone though, too. So it's okay to say this isn't for me. That's certainly, we don't want everyone running businesses that shouldn't be running businesses. It's not made for everyone. So,
Yeah.
but absolutely your message is perfect. So what is on the list for you coming up? Where are you headed? What are you doing? What do you got on your calendar?
I'll be hanging out with you in a couple of weeks. Yeah. I'll be in Orlando at BCS, Broker Carrier Summit. I will be there with the Women in Logistics doing some amazing things. I will also have a 2-hour lunch and learn. You guys get in the room. If you don't have your tickets, make sure you guys join and get there. This is exclusive to BCS. And I'm thinking about some things because it's such impactful and rewarding lunch and learn. We really dive in, and it's nothing like being in person to ask questions and things of that nature. So we will be at BCS at the end of this month, wrapping up the year.
Now, your lunch and learn, is that on Wednesday or on Thursday?
Ooh, I think it's on Wednesday. Don't quote me on that one yet.
I think I have a panel at like 10:45, so I will make sure I am at your lunch and learn.
I know that I'll be there. I know that I'll be there. I'll get there. I'm gonna fly there and I'll be there. The rest, I don't know.
Fair enough. I hear you. So I'll be there as well. You got anything else coming up, or is that kind of it for you for the year?
You know what? That's pretty much it. For the year, and rounding it off to get ready for 2026, which we have some amazing things. GovCon iSource, again, is just really changing how business owners do business. And so just really kind of getting the word out there about government contracting, and then this really cost-effective, seamless tool that's like amazing, and how we can really change this thing.
Yeah, so GovCon iSource is an app, correct?
Yeah, so it is a technology and it is an app, but it has an expert team behind it, which is really driving those results.
Awesome. So the app itself identifies available government contracts, or what does that do?
Yeah, so the app is a very healthy environment. Basically, your business development department, your procurement department, to where we build out a custom pipeline and we do contract sourcing, putting those opportunities within your pipeline. We build out your Rolodex and we start massaging and nurturing those relationships through very custom email marketing. We then have a robust proposal writing workspace where we can spit out award-winning proposals. We then have a certification department where we have all of the forms and the templates and everything that you need to get through the certification process. And then most importantly, we have some badass rock stars, entrepreneurs that are within the community, really encouraging, motivating, and driving one another, but also subcontracting with one another and leveraging their veteran-owned certification, her woman-owned certification, because two are stronger than one.
Oh, perfect. So I love it. You make me want to go start a government contracting.
Right. Come on over. Crowley's doing it. Why not you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Again, we got this one done. No technical issues.
I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you so much. That was a technical glitch, but we were fighting through it. But I'm glad that I came back for a round two. And let me tell you this. I will be more than happy to come back for round 3 or 4.
Oh,
I know
absolutely.
we have some new things on the horizon. I want to talk to you more about that. So I would love to talk to your audience, because this is something that really works, right? Should it be your only customer? I'm not saying that, but want to know what I'm saying? It has to be one of your customers. We have the DOD, we have FEMA, if you're flatbed, step deck, US Transcom, SDDC, all under this one umbrella. It's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. We'll talk soon. I'll actually be sending you a text message on something anyway here, probably yet today. So, but appreciate you coming on. How can people find you?
Absolutely. Me, Melanie Patterson _CEO on most platforms, Team Integrity Knowledge Center, and GovCon iSource on most platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things.
All the things. That's pretty much what it is now. I've been trying to get all of my stuff to be all the things. So it makes it so much easier to just say this on all the things. So, absolutely. Well, it's great seeing you. We will be talking soon, and I'll see you in 2 weeks or a little less than. So, but
see you in
we'll
2
catch
weeks.
you soon.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. This conversation wasn't about theory. It's about what actually works. And when you've got more grit than budget or more hustle than headcount, and you still are out there wanting to make it happen, the game doesn't care about excuses. It rewards execution. You can't complain about a market, or you can learn how to win differently. Let me say that again. You can complain about the market, or you can learn how to win differently. You can wait for the perfect conditions, or you can build anyway. You want to grow? Get clear. Get scrappy. Play long-term games with long-term people like the government. There's freight to move, contracts to win, teams to lead. And if nobody's handing you the playbook, write your own. Or call Melanie. She's got one. Because the truth is, in reality, nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself. You just might be the one to change everything. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.